Ladies and gentlemen, welcome once again to Gifted Event Conversations. And it's amazing to have you tune in and listen in. Today we have an amazing conversation, but even before we get to that, allow me say this is the month of May, and the M in May is for mental health awareness. So even as we delve into this conversation, are you aware of how you're doing mentally? Because as we jump into this conversation, at the back of your mind, you should know that there is no health without mental health, and there is no wealth without health. Welcome to this conversation. I have a friend, a brother that has joined us in this second episode of Boss Moves. He's so many things to different people. So let me not water down his introduction, but allow my friend and brother Brian Nyambego to introduce himself. Welcome, bro.
Thank you. Mic check 1 billion, 2 billion, 3 billion.
All right.
Thank you so much for hosting me here.
Yes.
Brian Nyambego, a speaker, an author, and a personal branding trainer, but above all that, a firstborn in a family of 6 kids. And I'm so happy that you've hosted me here today to share meaning, purpose, and fulfillment. Thank you so much, bro.
Great. We're here to share meaning and purpose.
Yeah.
So good, so good. Let's begin from the beginning. I think I met you through social media.
Yeah.
By the work that you do, and I think there is something when you birds of the same feathers
Yeah.
meet, you just flock together. Or
Yeah.
if you don't have the same wings, you just have to find a way of creating those wings. And we met once, and one thing that was really amazing is that at 17,
Yeah.
you put down your thoughts together in a book. And guys out here at 17 are probably chasing after girls, chasing after dogs, trying to kill a rat in 7 ways. So tell me, what was happening to you at 17 and your book, Billionaire Mindset?
Okay, a mindset of a billionaire.
Yes.
Now, there is a quote in my book that says a formula of becoming a billionaire is by changing a billion lives, and a formula of becoming a millionaire is by changing a million lives. But now, again, when you look at it from that perspective, sometimes it comes down to, or rather it trickles down to the impact that you want to create in the world. Now, for me, at the age of 17, what was in my mind is that at the age of 27, I want to be a billionaire, but how do I become a billionaire? First of all, I have to create something that is going to create impact across a billion people globally. And for me, that is personal branding, public speaking, and communication skills. And I was like, the only way I can compile all this is by putting my thoughts down and put them into a book. And I think that is now where the journey started. To be a billionaire in any area that you're doing, or rather to be a millionaire, you have to be willing to impact a million lives or a billion lives. So it depends with where exactly you want to lie. But at the end of the day, for me, at the age of 17 again, the reason I got that exposure is because my mom told me one thing, that Brian, you can have all the exposure in the world, but if you don't package it well, you have nothing.
Okay.
Or rather, you'll go nowhere. So now I had the exposure, yes, but where do I package it to? To a book. And the book can open as many doors as I want globally. Because I ever met this guy who is a son to a certain politician in the country. And then he told me this, I love when things are written down. And that statement has been in my head since then. And I was like, if you want anything, because you see, there's this proverb that says that if you want to hide something from an African, put it in a book. So everything that you want is in the books, in the papers, but the only thing is we don't have the willingness to go and learn. So I was like, you know what, let me just write all my thoughts down. And the dream of becoming a billionaire started at the age of 17 with that book. Yeah.
Wow. So many things you're putting down for us to pick up in the first lines of
Thank
this
you, man. I
conversation.
appreciate it.
And I hear you mention your mom. And parents have a role because
Yeah.
our origin has something to do with that.
Yeah.
So I don't know what your mom taught you, my viewers and all that, but at that age, you can see what that was really mind-blowing to hear. We are talking about BOSS moves. BOSS is an acronym that I gave for myself because we are made in the image of God. So we are able to create. So part of creation is words, which you are a merchant, a word merchant, all right? So BOSS is an acronym for brand optimization success strategies. And we have been having conversations. The first episode was by my good brother, CEO Eugene Okanda, and he did us justice. And we have seen that on our social medias, on YouTube. And the first episode, we are talking about positioning, pricing, proficiency, and all that and all that. Before you even get to that depth, I want you to define what is branding for you as Brian? Okay, branding.
Yeah,
Okay, now you get the point why you're here.
Okay, I say personal branding is more of the feeling that you give people out there. As an author, when someone has read, okay, let me use an example.
Okay.
The other day, I was going through the comments and I found lots of them. But now, what got my attention is a message that I got on my TikTok page, and the message was, Brian, through you, I didn't commit suicide by watching your video. Now, for me, that is the end goal of branding. What the feeling that people get after they've seen what you're doing, after they've watched your content. The feeling is what branding is. But most people usually focus on the logo. Most people usually focus on how good looking is it. No, it's about what, like, the end goal of this whole thing. Why are you doing it? The why is very important in branding. So I think if you're supposed to focus on anything in branding, focus on the why. So for me, that is how I define personal branding, the end goal. Yeah.
Conceptualizing the feeling and communicating that feeling,
Yeah.
and then the end user or the end person feeling that feeling.
Yeah.
All right. So that when you hear of Apple, when you hear of Coca-Cola, there's a certain feeling that comes to mind.
Coca-Cola sells you happiness.
All right.
Apple sells you a certain narrative. Like, if there is something that you have to learn is Coca-Cola is a company, yes, but without the feeling that they sell you, that when you take their soda, it will, there's a feeling it gives you, right? When you wear a certain shoe, there is a way people will take you. That's why
Yes.
there's this whole quote unquote thing when you wear a certain type of cloth, that they say old money, right? I think that is that whole perspective. It's about when you wear this, what feeling does it bring? When you have this, what is the end goal of it? Yeah.
Good. Now that you started mentioning brands, M-Pesa, what is the feeling for you?
I think M-Pesa is more on, let's look at other countries. When you look at how the transaction mode is, kind of hard for them. For us, it's just start, is it 234 or rather 334?
Yes.
And it's so easy to transact across the country. And I feel like the feeling it gives you, it's like, it's an easy mode of transaction. When you look at PayPal, sometimes it takes like, crazy, like maybe a week, 2 weeks for you to get your transaction. But now for M-Pesa, sometimes it's kind of easy, around the country. So there's a feeling it gives you at the end of the day that you're like, okay, I want to do something because it's easier to do it, or rather there's just whichever feeling it is, really. Yeah.
Okay. One more, and then probably move. Equity Bank.
Okay, wow. I'm an Equity user, but not like that frequent. But all I'd say is the end goal of Equity, when I hear Equity, what I see, it's the Wings to Fly program. When I look at Equity, what comes in mind is the CEO, how he's been able to transform lives across the country. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not buying this product because it is going to, or rather it's going to help me. I'm buying this product because it has helped thousands of, or rather millions of kids in the country to find scholarships to go study. I know someone, personally, a big brother, his name is Msaidizi. He's in New York right now working because of Equity. So I'm like, you know what? The reason I'd be willing to use Equity is because I've seen someone succeed from there. So majorly it is the feeling. Because, there's someone who can't buy your product, or rather there's someone who doesn't want to buy a product, but because they've seen, or rather they've had a success story from you, they're like, you know what, let me try him. And that is the whole perspective that comes with branding now. So for Equity, for me, when you hear such a thing, you're like, you know what, that is why testimonials are there. Why are they there? To help us garner more clients because of what they see, the reviews, etc. Yeah, majorly that.
Good. And maybe you can continue just looking at the brands you use at home and everything, and see what feeling do you buy, because people buy feelings, they don't buy products.
That's it.
Probably you'll get that there later. Growing up as a kid, did you see yourself where you are right now at 21 right now?
22 right
22
now.
right now. So in grade 5 in grade 6, we had that question of what do you want to be when you grow up. Were you seeing yourself doing whatever you're doing right now at that age?
So I did a video on TikTok the other day, and the statement was, when I grow up, I want to be a pilot. When I grow up, I want to be this. I asked the question, where did all these dreams go to? And then it got a lot of comments, lots of comments. And I think for me, when I was growing up, I wanted to be a pilot.
Okay.
But you see, we all have two dreams in life. You have your dream and your parents' dream. Your dream is that thing that you'd be willing to do for the rest of your life and be happy doing it every single day. Now, your parents' dream, it's something that they probably didn't achieve, but they want you to achieve it because they believe it will make you successful. Again, there's a difference between success and greatness. Success follows patterns.
Okay.
Finish grade 8, finish grade, let's say grade 12,
Looks like
go to
succession.
campus. Yeah, now it's like you're succeeding everything. Get a good job. It's not bad. If that's success to someone, well and good. But now greatness comes from a point of you can write a book at 17, start a company at 20, be a millionaire at 21.
Okay.
That doesn't have patterns. So greatness, you choose. It will take longer, but it will last longer. Now for me, at the age of, or rather when I was in grade 5, my dad applied a couple of scholarships for me. Now when I was in grade 9, 2 scholarships came by. And then I was like, should I go, should I not? I was like, no, I'm not going. Why? Because I want to create something that is going to help me find meaning, purpose, and fulfillment, not just for myself, but for other people. And that is why I'd now bring in the aspect of the Bible where it says that what you, like, the more you giveth, the more you receiveth, right? So now for me, it is pouring into other people to find meaning in life, to find purpose, and to find fulfillment. And I was like, you know what? I declined the scholarships. We didn't talk with my dad for like a whole month. But at the end of the day, I was like, you know what? I made the right choice. Now, when I look at the comment I told you, like let's say on TikTok, someone texted me and told me, you know what? I was going to commit suicide, but because of your video, I didn't do that. Because of your video, I got a gig worth $5,000. Because of your video, I've been able to raise my... That is what makes me happy. I might not have the millions, the billions in my bank, but what really makes me happy? You know, why should I keep going every single day? Because they say that at the end of the day, when you have all the money in your pockets, what will keep you going? Is it your purpose or what exactly? So for me, I think it is that meaning, helping people find meaning. And I think when I was young, is by the time I was 17, for me to write a book and compile all those thoughts down, it is because I was able to now get the exposure and all that. But now, yeah, I'd say that is how I'd say my young age, or rather at a young age, that is how everything rolled around. Yeah, so I wanted to be a pilot, but now it was from a perspective of my dad. It's something he didn't achieve, so he wanted me to achieve it for him. Yeah.
All right. I hear you. And I work with teenagers a lot. And part of the conversation is like, right now you're having transitions to university and colleges. And a parent comes and they want career assessment. And the assessment is pointing to an art person, literally. But then this parent is like, no, I want a doctor from you. And we are there, and I tell the mom or the dad, everything is pointing towards art. And this guy, you look at him, he's good in writing, he's good with theater and stuff. But then the mom wants a doctor. And then at the end of it, they just curtail the dreams of this young man. So we raise a very sad doctor, a very nonchalant, nonchalant pilot, because that was not part of them, of their dreams. So I get the difference between success and greatness. So success has a connotation of finish this first and then go to the next. But then greatness, you can be great at any age. And I'm reminded of the Bible. King Josiah was made king at age 6. What are some of these doors of greatness that have opened to you, even at this age? And you were like, this one, not even successful, have opened them for you.
Wow. Let me start with this year.
All right.
2 months ago, I was seated in a room full of 61 billionaires in Kenya. 61.
Okay.
And that is CEOs from different corporates in the country, some of the biggest.
So there was
Market,
62.
Equity, Stanchart, Cooperative Bank, National Bank. The CEOs were seated there. And the question was about the Gen Z. Why are we lazy? And I was like, no, we are not lazy. We are lazy, but we might seem to be lazy, but we are fast. So that was, I'd say at that point, I asked myself this: why am I here? And the answer that I gave to myself was, I'm here because I have worked myself up. I'm here because of the early mornings, the late nights that I've put in. And I think at that moment, I was like, at my age, 21 years, I had not turned 22 because I turned 22 on the March 23rd. So I was like, at 21, seated with 61 billionaires in the room, and you asked questions, quality questions, because I tell people that the quality of questions that you get asked determine the quality of answers that you will give people. Same thing. So in that room, I was like, that is the richest room I've ever been in my whole life. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. And I think for me, that is now the topmost room I've been in.
And I think you counted wrong. There were 62 billionaires in the room.
Oh,
There were not 61.
that-
So yeah, if you get it, you get it.
yeah, I
Okay.
get it. I get it. So that was I'd say that has been the richest room I've been in. Now, last year, I met 10 people in the country who have done well in business, real estate, market, just any business, the digital space, etc. 10 of them. Now, trickling up from the president of Kenya. Right now, when you talk about the president, it just brings a lot of conversation.
Yes,
but
yes.
So at that point, from the president, from some of the greatest in real estate, I met Kivutha Kibwana.
Yes.
I met
Prof.
every single place, politics, etc. And then the question I was asking these people is, how did you get up there? And they tell me it is this: making sure that you have, or rather you stay true to yourself. Staying true to yourself means that make promises to yourself, and remember that don't make promises you can't keep to yourself.
Okay.
Because you will never give people what you don't have. So if I'm to give you something, I'll give you something I have much more than if I'm. Let's use an example of water. If you ask me for water right now, I'll give you because I have this glass of water here. So the whole thing is realizing that you'll never give people what you don't have. And I think last year and this year has really shown me that you can do anything in this life as long as you stay true to yourself. Stay true to yourself and you stay true to other people. But first of all, make sure that you feed you first before you feed other people. Yeah.
So good. Feed you first before you feed other people.
Yeah.
But the greatest asset to invest in is you before you even invest in other people.
Yeah, sure.
So to get to going with our conversation, how would you describe your personal brand?
Okay. I'd say I have two perspectives of it.
Okay.
The first perspective is something I said earlier, that personally, as Nyambego, what I want to create a legacy. And the legacy is, or rather trickles down to helping people find meaning, purpose, and fulfillment.
Okay.
And now there's a second perspective, which is, I tell people a lot, live, love, laugh. Now live your dream. That is why there's this quote that says, don't ask yourself what the world needs. Ask yourself what makes you come alive, then go do that. Because really what the world needs are people who have come alive. Now that is live, right?
Okay.
Do something that you love doing. Now let's come to love. With love comes peace, comes perfection. When you love more, you do more. You have peace in that thing that you're doing. And with that, you're perfect at what you do. You don't just give results, but you give excellent results. And now that trickles down to when you've done live, love, then laugh. Laugh comes with love, like it's never that serious. Take yourself out. But you see, the power of self-reflection helps you a lot. Now that is where I'd say the power of self-reflection comes in. Laugh. It's never that serious. Take yourself out. Go for walks alone. Sometimes just go buy yourself a meal worth 5,000 or 4,000. Sit down, eat that meal, and be fulfilled. And you know what? I bought this meal for myself. Why? Because if you'll give someone something, it means that you've had it before. You've had a taste of it. But if you're going to buy someone a meal worth 5,000 shillings or your group, and you've never done it to yourself, you're doing injustice to yourself. So it trickles down to live, love, laugh. It's never that serious. Just take yourself out once in a while. Some people usually wait until they're in relationships, and you're like, wow, let me take my date out. Man, it's just do it to yourself first, because you're doing a lot of injustice to you. So I think I have those two ways on how I view life and how I view my personal brand as. Yeah.
Great. That is quite of a synopsis of just getting into Brian's world and understanding who he really is and what moves him. So I know we have our own section to deal with today, but let me take you back to what we covered in our previous episode. We talked about for us to make boss moves of our brand, then we have to think about proficiency. Okay, we talked about purpose, which you're having on, and I'm glad you have really reinstated that. And then we talked about proficiency, which is growing yourself, developing yourself. And then we talked about positioning, and then we talked about pricing.
Yeah.
I want you to pick any that is close to your heart of these four, so that you can zero in for like a minute or so before we move to what we are doing in this particular episode.
Now, repeat them again.
So there is purpose, proficiency, pricing, and positioning. So pick one that you say this one would catapult your brand.
I'd say positioning.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talk about it.
So positioning. I tell people that you attract who you are at the end of the day, but most people never see that aspect. Why? Because imagine you're in a room of like 100 people,
Uh-huh.
and these 100 people are like, let's say, high performance people.
Uh-huh.
The one thing that you don't know
Mm-hmm.
that subconsciously happens is that if you're in a room full of 100 high performing people,
Mm-hmm.
they increase how you think 15% without even them speaking.
The fact that we're in the
You're in the
same
same room, 15%.
Okay.
Now, if you're in the same exact room with 100 low performing people, they decrease your growth in terms of your mind 25%.
Okay.
Now, it doesn't matter whether they speak or not,
Uh-huh.
but they will
Do that.
they'll do that.
Uh-huh.
So it's about what you focus on more. You attract who you are. So where you position yourself really matters.
Mm-hmm.
That is why I tell people that as a brand,
Mm-hmm.
or rather when you're creating something for yourself, first of all, ask yourself this, that where I'm positioning myself is the same. Okay, I want to impact 1 billion people,
Yes.
right? Through my brand. Now, what determines is the moment. There is who you think you are, who you hope you are, and who you really are.
Uh-huh.
Now, let's look at these 3 people
Okay.
in terms of now positioning. Who you think you are is in the past, right? Who you hope you are is in the future. Who you really are is at the moment.
Okay.
Now, in terms of positioning, most of us usually take the who you think you are sometimes in the past to affect the present, because it's like when you're driving a car. When you're driving a car, if you focus on the rear view
Rear
mirror,
mirror,
a lot, you will get a lot of accidents. But if you focus in front, it will be so easy for you. But remember again, you can look at the rear view mirror to see who's coming, or before you overtake.
Yes.
And you're like, okay, I think now I can overtake because the road is clear, right? That is why I tell people that traumas, etc., these things are there. Maybe there's something that will affect you in your present because it's part of your past. I lost my mom at the age of, when I was young. And then I think if I let that thing affect me, it will be so hard for me to position myself for the future people who are willing to be impacted through my work. So I have to work on that. Now, who you really are in the moment, again, don't let who you really are in the moment stop you from achieving who you hope you are in the future.
Uh-huh.
You see, who you really are in the moment is you'll go through trials, tribulations, the days you don't have money, the days you're broke, and you're like, will I really get there? And the conversation gets deep, and you're like, you know what? Let me just give up. Giving up is not an option. So who you really are at the moment is preparing you for who you want to, or rather who you hope to become in the future. And that is now, if you decide to, the decisions and the choices you make right now, whether 1% better or 1% worse, through who you really are, will determine who you hope you are if you become now. That is why my next book is called the Becoming an Extraordinaire. How do you become an extraordinaire? It's through that, realizing who you hope you are, who you think you are, and who you really are. So focus on the now, but don't let the now drown you from becoming who you hope you are. Now, when you're positioning yourself, figure out these 3 people and ask yourself, where am I? And where am I? Is it stopping me from achieving who I want to become? It is so easy as that. So when you're positioning yourself, I'd say as a brand, focus on that more, because you'll never give people what you don't have again. Yeah.
Really great. And as I'm listening in, I am like, who I think I am, or that is what is in the
Yeah.
past, would help me to appraise the success, because at times when we're looking at who I am really, who I really I am
at the
right
moment.
now, I can look at things not working, and yet there are things that have worked.
Yeah.
Like there are rooms that have opened, and I'm not like being a person of gratitude,
Yep.
because I'm just overthinking
Yeah.
where I'm going, so that then I have become restless. I don't even rest.
Yeah.
I get get rich quick
Yeah.
schemes, or
Overnight
try
successes.
to like get yourself into spaces that then really you have not grown into.
Yeah, yeah.
I remember Okanda told us that we don't go to the next level, we grow to the next level.
Yeah.
And I found that really profound. So guys, positioning is important.
Very much.
Pretty like what your mom told you. Like you can have all the exposure, but then if you
But
do not.
if you don't package yourself well, you never get to where you want to get to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Really, really great. We're talking about presence as one or number 5 point in terms of boss moves. Commanding your presence.
Yeah.
That, what do you think about presence, both offline and online?
Okay. I think let's start with offline. Today, you're in a good suit, a good watch, a good tie. Man,
Thanks.
doing great. So I tell people that You see, when it comes to dressing as a personal brand, there is something that it brings in. People will address you how you're dressed. That's the first thing.
Okay.
Second thing is this, that sometimes people, as much as they address you as you're dressed, before they hear you, they must first see you. And that is more of, I'd say now, the first impression. The first impression creates a lasting impression. So it depends really. You see, we started from there. But I feel like most people don't focus on that. They're like, I can go with a short and a t-shirt. Man, if you're going to pitch an idea worth 10 million and you're in a short and a t-shirt, no one will trust you.
Okay.
Dress like you want to be addressed. You see, and I think when I realized that at a young age, it helped me so much. That is why if someone goes on TikTok, they'll find someone who wears capes and t-shirts. They go on Instagram, they find someone who's on suits every day. Why?
Yes.
I know what I want. If I'm to be a billionaire, I'm dressing like where I want to see myself. So every single thing that you're doing, whether 1% better, 1% worse, it determines who you will become at the end of the day. And I feel like most people don't really focus on that. Yeah? That is the first thing. How you dress will determine how people address you.
I just want us to zero in there because there's lots of things around dressing. Because I love what you say, that you can't be pitching for $1 billion kind of proposal and then you coming in with like an 1,000, okay, or even a somoja kind of dressing. And I think with Gen Zs and all this aspect of it's a free world, at times we underscore and we feel like, I think I saw something very profound the other day. This is a senior government official, and he was just talking to us, and he was telling us that they are the employers right now. You see those guys, the millennials, those Gen X, they are the employers right now. And he was saying that if you're coming on and you're putting on dreadlocks, chances are you may be good at the work, but then he won't give you the work because he's the employer and he has just a thinking about that. And people would say, why should I put on a 15K suit yet I am not earning probably almost the same amount? Is it same as faking it till you making it, or how do you approach this so that we get the balance?
All right, the first thing I'll say is it is not bad to have dreadlocks, because I have friends who have them and they're running successful companies. Now the whole thing is this. Let's use this glass of water, right? If we bring in, for example, I'm trying to look for, let's say, a food color.
Okay.
And pour it in here.
Yes.
What happens? It changes color. If it's a food color, if the food color is orange, it changes to orange, right?
Yes.
Totally.
Yes.
It is a glass of water, but if you put in the food color, it changes the color.
Yes.
Now, what do I mean by that? That as much as you have a hairstyle, however it might look like, dress like you want that thing.
Okay.
Right? Now, let me bring in the aspect of the Bible, for example.
All right.
It is not that Jesus didn't have the power. It is that Nazareth lacked the honor.
Okay.
Right? Why? You see, the whole aspect of Jesus had the power to help. Jesus had the power to heal. But Nazareth was like, right? So as much as you want that thing, show the zeal that I want it. You know? Yes, I might have a hairstyle that might provoke you, but my communication skills really show that I want this thing so bad. My presence here, I've come here, I'm in a suit, but as much as I'm in red, like, go look at people like Eugene Bugwa, the CEO of DNR Studios. He has dreads on, but go look at his page. So good. You'll be like, I admire this guy. So you won't look at the dreadlocks anymore. You look at how he communicates, you look at how he dresses, and that will now act as the water I've told you and the food color. So you've affected people through something so small. So they might be thinking this clear, but you bring in your aspect of the food color and you change how they think completely through your, let's say, your dreadlocks and all that. It's about what do you have on your hand. Majorly that.
Good that people see first. And I think it's even in nature that it's even the lightning and thunderstorm and stuff. That they say light travels faster than sound. So by the time we are hearing the thunder, the light has already gone. And I think it's a very important point in terms of presence. Like how you're showing up and all that. So how do you ensure that then you're being very conscious? Because there's a way you show up when you're going to speak to young people. There's a way you're showing up when you're speaking to these billionaires who are all suited up. what will drive the dressing in different occasions as you brand yourself offline?
Three things. First of all, I call it RPP: research, prepare, practice.
Okay.
Now, research. Am I going to talk to Gen Zs, millennials, baby boomers, Gen X, understand their language and be like, okay, now the Gen X, this is how they would want to be spoken to. This is how they'd want me to dress. The Gen Z, I can go freestyle. If it is the millennials, they want me this way and this way. Now package, or rather tailor make your message from up there to their level so that they can understand. And that is in communication skills, empathy, putting yourself in someone's shoes and asking yourself, if I was in the same state, what would I have done differently? What would I want them to deliver? Now you've put yourself in a perspective of you as the person who's going to give and you as the person who's receiving. So you are both sides. Now you get to deliver both ways. And I feel like when you research, it becomes so easy for you. Even in public speaking, that is what we do. Like before I go somewhere, if it's in Tanzania, for example, I'm going there on the 15th, I know they speak Swahili a lot. So I'll have to narrow down my English.
You're trying
to try and blend in with them, right? And that helps you a lot. If it's the Gen Z, sometimes when you go somewhere, you have to dress subtle. Like, let me be in sneakers, be in, let's say, like a half zip like I am today. And they'll be like, wow, this person understands us. If I go there with a suit and all, they'll be like, they'll be quiet. They might not be in a position to share with you and be vulnerable and tell you this is what I'm going through. And I want you to help me in this. But if you go there and put yourself in their shoes, they'll be so happy to see you. You see, so it is research. Preparation comes with now. Prepare on what you're going to give them. Prepare on the message, etc. And now to the last thing is practice it again and again before that day gets there. I have 14 or rather 13 more days to practice and be like, okay, well, I think if it's this, what word am I going to use when I'm speaking? A friend of mine told me, when you want to buy something, say, tafadhali, say, the smallest things that in Kenya we don't use. Now, I was like, well, okay, I think I can use this. So majorly that, like, I have to research, to prepare, and practice at the end. And that has really helped me for the past 4 years that I've been doing personal branding and communication skills as a trainer.
Oh, really great. That then the speaker as the audience, changing roles in your head, like simulating and thinking about, if I would be seated in the audience and I'm this 60-year-old, what would I expect to hear?
Imagine that. It's just like when you have anxiety as a public speaker, what do? You create person A and person B. Who is person A? Person A is you, right? Person B is anxiety. You've been in the field for the past 4, 5, 6 years. Ask anxiety the questions like, hey, we've been here for 6 years. What makes you think that today we're not going to perform on that stage? Because the quality of questions you ask anxiety will determine the quality of answers you will get. And that will push you to speak on that stage. And I feel like that is where people usually lose it a lot. Yeah, majorly that. It's about the things that you create in your head and the questions that you ask that will determine the quality of answers that you will get back. Yeah, which will also drive where you will go to. Yeah.
That questions are the answers. All right.
That's it.
Now that questions are the answers, we're joined by a live audience here.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll pick a question. Mika, something you want to throw in a question?
Yes, of course, absolutely. I have a number of questions.
Yes, just one.
Okay. Sure. If I have a chance to just ask one, Brian, I admire how you speak and your eloquence. How do I achieve that?
I'd say the first thing is we start from an aspect of acceptance.
Okay.
If you know very well that, everything that you do starts from here. Well, acceptance is now in 3 aspects. Acceptance comes from your mind, your heart, and your soul. Now, for example, I'll say, I'm not good at consistency and I want to learn. There's a difference between I want and I wish. But first you've accepted, I'm not good at this thing and I want to learn, not I wish, I want. Now, when you come to the perspective of I want to learn, what do? You look for someone who has gone ahead of you and they've achieved that level of fluency and you're like, okay, I'm willing to invest in this thing and learn. If it's a trainer, look for a trainer. If it's a program, join a program and see how much that will transform you. But you see, as Africans, or rather as, I'd say, people globally, sometimes we have this whole thing of instant gratification. Let me use an example of a monkey. If you give a monkey a banana and 1,000 bob, what will it take? A banana.
A banana,
because it wants to eat instantly and be okay. But it doesn't realize that the 1,000 bob can buy it
More
100
bananas.
other bananas.
Yes.
So I'd say that if I was in the same position, I'd be like, you know what, let me invest in myself because I know the fruits it will give at the end of the day. So I'd say it's majorly looking for someone who's gone ahead of you. First of all, acceptance. Second of all, say I want. And third of all, now invest in yourself and see how much that will bring in because you'll never give again what you don't have. Yeah.
Right. Thank you, Mika. Keep tracking. We'll get to answer more questions because questions are the answers. Really great. um, online branding. We're
Yeah.
living in a time where people are making millions and billions of money. And one of my teachers, Myron Golden, says there is never been such a time where it's easier to get wealthy and rich. Honestly,
Yeah.
like a time we are living in right now, because the world being a global village, then we are like right now this video can get to 8 billion people
Yeah.
across the globe, and if each one of us is paying 1 bob, for me then I am 8 billion
That's
away.
8 billion. Yeah.
So let's just talk about online presence. What are the nitty-gritties? What are these basics? Let's not even get to the complicated stuff first. For someone that feels I'm not good with online presence, I don't take photos, but then they desire boss moves. What would you tell them? That this is where to start.
If there is one aspect I've learned this year,
Yes.
as I told you when we were seated there, it is distribution. Now, distribution comes to an aspect of living in people's head rent free. People never
Okay.
see that. Why? I post 3 times a day on TikTok. What am I doing? I'm not just posting from a point of posting. I'm posting because I want to live in people's head rent free. Someone will scroll and find me on the FYP. They will like my video. What they will realize is that after 3 videos, they'll find another video of me. So every single day, they will be seeing my content and be like, okay, who's this? Now they'll now go into my page and be like, research more about me. They realize I'm a personal branding trainer, and they'll be like, okay, I think I've been struggling with this thing for so long, and I can now buy it from him. Why? Because they've been seeing me again and again and again, and I can't go off their mind. Distribution needs consistency and commitment. Consistency in terms of I've been posting 3 videos a day from the 1st of January to right now. Today, I'm here to post my 3rd video of the day. I've already posted 2 before I came here. So that shows that I am so committed to my craft, and I am so consistent with it because I made a promise to myself that, you know what, I don't make promises I can't keep. And that is a principle in my life that guides me through. That is the one thing I'd say, that distribution is what will get you to where you want to get to. Now, people in our generation will differentiate this, or rather they don't know how to differentiate this, the aspect of being busy and the aspect of procrastinating. You'll be like, I didn't do this. No, I was busy. You were not busy. Okay, let me give you an example. There's an example of the 100-hour rule. And it states that if you put in 18 minutes of your work, or rather 18 minutes aside for something that you love doing every single day, for 365 days you'll have achieved 100 hours in your craft. People usually see the 100 hours, they never see the 18 minutes you put in every day. Now, people will see the thousands of videos I'll have posted by the end of the day, but they don't see the 3 videos I'm posting every day. Why? Instant gratification again. So distribution is one of the greatest things that you can have in this time of online presence, because if you want your content to reach people, millions of people, again, you have to focus on distribution. Narrows down to that. Commitment and consistency in your craft. Every single day, put in 18 minutes and see how much that will give you at the end of the year. So I'd say for me, if there is one thing I've learned really, it's distribution. Yeah, majorly that.
And consistently and commitment.
Yeah.
And I love what you're saying about being busy and procrastinating, because I think it becomes a joke
Yeah.
if what moves a needle in my favor, I'm not taking it seriously. Let's say I sell laptops, for instance, and I can't spare 10 minutes
Yeah.
to just tell people, hi guys, this is
Yeah.
Lenovo, what it has this. And then I'm thinking and crying how I'm not having sales,
Yeah.
yet I can't do the 18 minutes
That's
of
it.
work. So commitment and consistency.
That's it.
Solomon. I am reading First Kings and just interacting with Solomon at depth. He's the wisest man. And earlier this morning, I was reading where the Queen of Sheba goes to see his wealth and everything. Like word comes to Ethiopia that in Israel, there's a guy called Solomon. He's so wise that he can even hear what the fish is saying while in water, and then the queen goes there. And this looks like personal branding for Solomon.
Yeah.
That he had branded himself so good that then all kings were coming to pay him. Actually, it said that he was then a consultant to his contemporaries. So, what is this person that says, yes, I would love to be Solomon. I love to do what he was doing. But I'm shy. I fear the camera.
Yeah.
I am not good. I am judging myself in front of a camera. What will you tell them?
I tell them, throw yourself to the deep end. Now, before I became this fluent, I didn't know. Why? So now let me take you down memory lane. My mom used to tell me this, that when you go to a function with you, and mostly let's say the circles that she was in,
Yes,
she'd
yes.
tell me, Brian, we are going there, we'll be like 100 moms seated together. And when they ask who's going to pray for us before we finish the session, raise up your hand.
Wow.
Don't pray in Kiswahili, pray in English.
Wow.
Now, at that moment, my mom knew I was an introvert. I couldn't speak in front of people. But what she was trying to do is to try and build the smallest aspects of me becoming fluent in English, because she knew one day I'd be speaking on such a podcast. Now, as human beings, again, we don't see the small steps that we put in every single day, because the small, consistent actions will lead to if you've read, let's say, there's the power of habits.
Yes,
Creating a
habits,
habit, becoming good at it. So for me, I'd say that if you feel like, or rather, if you know that you're not good at something, and you feel like, okay, I can't do this, no. Start with the smallest aspects. Don't start big. You want to see yourself fluent up there. No, start with the smallest aspect, because the small, consistent actions will lead to where you want to get to. The power of compound interest states that if you do something small, it will end up becoming a chunk of it, like the big aspect of it. That is why a habit becomes a habit after 29 to 30 days. So it means that you have to do this thing daily for 30 good days.
Consistent.
For your mind to not forget that we are supposed to do this.
Yes.
If you're used to taking tea for like 30 days, and then one day you miss it, you'll be like, no. You'll realize you've missed it, right?
Yes.
And I feel like so many people don't really see that. So if I'm to speak to this person, this is what I tell them. If it's anxiety, start battling it one by one, a day after another, a day after another. If it's a habit, an addiction that you have to now stop these things. Cut it small by small. By the end of the day, you'll realize, wow, okay. When the year started, I was like, will I be consistent for like 365 days and post 3 videos a day? I was like, yeah, I can. Let me do it for the first month and see. So I've done it to a point whereby if I don't do it, I know I'll feel like a failure tomorrow. So it has become it doesn't matter, even if it is 11:30 p.m. headed to 12 a.m. Between those 30 minutes, I have to post the 3 videos. And it has happened before. Because I know how I'll feel if it gets 12 a.m. I know.
And you have not done what
because
you're
I feel like
supposed
I'll have broken something. So that is it. So if you want to create something big, start from the smallest chunks. But again, throw yourself to the deep end. From a point of, yes, you've accepted that you have this problem. Now what do you do? Throw yourself to the deep end. If it's anxiety that you have, if you can't speak in front of people, if you're an introvert, start putting yourself out there. Say hi to one person today. Tomorrow, let's say use like I have a chart in my consistency journey. What I do is, or rather when I'm teaching people, or rather someone about consistency, I tell them, today, greet one person. Tomorrow, do 2 people. Set a goal for yourself. The other day, do 3. The other day, do 4. Just say, hello, how are you doing? Yeah, I was just saying hi. That's it. Might be so hard, but when you do it fast, you will feel the urge of doing it again tomorrow. So tomorrow, do it again. 2 people. The other day, 3 people, 4 people. You realize it becomes a norm as you keep going every single day. Because if you want to be consistent at something like, let's say, fitness, you've done 1 push-up today, you do 2 tomorrow, you do 3 tomorrow. Same thing if it's a book. Don't focus on reading a whole book today if you haven't done it before. Read a chapter after another, or maybe 2 pages today. Tomorrow, extend to page 5, extend to page 15. By the end of the month, you'll have done the book. But most of us, instant gratification again, we want like the whole thing once. So let's focus on the elephant in the room, and that is doing the one thing at a time. That is it. Yeah.
So doing one thing at a time, whether you feel like it or not feel like it, and then incrementally it just moves something in your favor.
However small it is.
Really
Majorly
great,
that. Yeah.
really great. But then there are people that start and then don't continue.
Yeah.
So, and then they feel like failures, like the way you said, if you don't post, then you start feeling like, you just start feeling awful.
Yeah.
How do you help someone? Because I realized the root word for confidence has the same root word with confide. That if I can't confide in myself, if I keep telling myself lies, then I can't even be confident. So how have you been able to confide in you in other areas that then it has trickled down to confiding in you in terms of now consistency, even in terms of online presence?
I think it narrows down to the smallest things that we do. You might do something consciously or subconsciously. It's like, yesterday I was listening to someone saying that, for me, even if you tell me, let's say you call me and tell me, for example, in Kenya we say, quote unquote, mjinga, sindio? And then someone calls you, we mjinga, habari, right? As much as it's a joke, they're serious in a certain aspect. It might seem like a joke to you, but to some extent, it is serious. They keep doing that again and again, and you keep taking that in. That means that you're putting it into your system without unknowingly. Now, one day you will do it, and you will be like, I'm used to it, right? So if many people start telling you this, you'll take it as a normal thing to you. So for me, it trickles down to the smallest things that people tell me. For example, statements like, I can't have it. When I came here and I looked at the studio, I was like, I want to build this studio at home. It's not like I can't have it. I can have it. The only thing is, how do I work to getting it? And I feel like most people are like, I can't have it. I can't afford it. I can't. When you keep doing that, there is a way you're telling your mind, or rather you're rebuilding your mind again. You're telling it that we can't have anything. Let me use an example. You're on the other end. I'm on this end.
Yes.
Now, let's imagine it was a big room. Let's say 100 meters apart. You're a good swimmer. That's the first thing. Now, you're a good swimmer, right? Now, I tell you, let's say water is from the floor all the way to your ankle. And I tell you, you know what? You have your shoes on, your new shoes on, and I tell you, just walk across and I'm going to give you 50 shillings. Would you do it? New shoes worth 2,000,
no,
and I'm going to give you 50
Not
shillings.
worth it.
It's not worth it.
Yes.
Why? You know what? That has happened. Okay, let's continue again. Now, imagine water is close to half of your body.
Okay.
I tell you, swim across, or rather just come across, and I'll give you 200 shillings. Would you do it?
200? I think no.
Okay. If I tell you I'll give you 20,000,
I can try.
you can do it. Right now, water is past your head. You're a good swimmer. The 3 sharks in that place, and I tell you, I'll give you 500,000. Would you do it? 3 sharks. Do you risk your life for that?
I think no.
You won't. I tell you 500 million. Would you do it? You've done it before. Would you do it?
Oh, I've done it before. I'll do it.
Okay. Now, this is what happens. There is a place, or rather, a place in your mind that stores your values.
Okay.
Right? So if I tell you something, it goes to your values and asks your values. Do you think we can do it?
Okay.
So 200, you said no. 20,000, you said yes. Why? Because you knew that my clothes are worth probably, like, let's say 10K, so I'll get a profit of 10K on board. Now, 500,000 you can't, but 500 million, you can risk your life for that. Why? The values that you've set for yourself are so high that you can't bring them down. That is what happens. That, you see, everything that we do, however small, however big, it usually narrows down, or rather trickles down to the values that we have for ourselves. But people don't usually see that. So there's a point or other place in your mind that stores your values. So anything I tell you, it goes back there. So the values that you have will determine how further that you can go. Yeah.
So even as we're talking about consistency in putting content out there, branding, it goes back to your value
To your
system.
values. That is
and it compares that
Yeah.
have we done this before?
Yeah.
And is it even doable? And then there's a concept called neuroplasticity that once you clock that, then your brain builds neurons,
Yeah.
pathways for that. But then let's say if you're able to negotiate a 100 million deal, then next time you hear this that 200 million deal, your brain will tell you you have done this.
You've done this before, you can do it again. I mean, what is so big about it? So it goes back to our brain, like the way we've wired our mind. But most of us, we've wired our mind to the smallest things. Stop wiring your mind to the smallest things. Wire your mind that, you know what, I can achieve this, I can become this. The only thing I have to ask myself is the question, how do I get there? What strategies? What are the things that I'm supposed to use for me to get to where I want to get to? But most people are like, at the moment I can't have it, and even in the future I don't think that I can have it. Now that's also where it trickles down to success and greatness. So that's why I chose greatness instead of success.
Okay. What are you telling yourself?
Yeah.
It's the big question we always
Majorly
ask.
that, yeah.
Good.